Guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, kindly subscribe to my channel, then click on the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. And to the old subscribers, good to see you again. So today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make a bustier, princess dart bustier. So there are different ways in which this style can be drafted, but I'll be showing you just one way. So you are going to need the following measurements. You're going to need the shoulder measurement, the armhole, the chest line. So for you to make this bustier, so you have to have a basic knowledge of how to make a basic dress pattern, like the basic bodice. So it's just like an advanced basic bodice. So you need the shoulder, chest line, armhole, shoulder to bust point, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waist, then the bust span, which is the distance between the two nipples. So let's get started. So firstly, we are going to draw a line to serve as a starting point. So you draw a line, so on this line, that's where we are going to insert our shoulder measurements. The shoulder measurements I'll be using is 16, and we divide it by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So from the shoulder measurement, we insert our shoulder to bust point measurement. So my shoulder to bust point is 10. And my shoulder to under bust is 14. So my waist length for the front is 19. So if you take a measuring tape, then measure your front, your shoulder to waist for the front, you realize that there's a slight difference when you do that for the back as well. So for me, the difference is like 2 inches. So there's a way we kind of adjust it that even the back and the front length will be the same. So let's continue. You get to understand why it is like that. So I'll draw an horizontal line from the point mark. So that's the bust point. This is the under bust, and this is the waistline. So from the shoulder line, we are going to mark the chest line. The chest line is half of the armhole. The armhole I'll be using is 18, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. So we're going to draw a vertical line to form the armhole line, then an horizontal line to form the chest line. So this is the chest line. So because our shoulder is not straight, so we have to draft the shoulder slope. So in order to draft the shoulder slope, we have a standard measurement of 3 inches on the shoulder line. So from here we'll draft 1 inch down. So this is just part of the basic bodice drafting. So if you have a knowledge of that, then this shouldn't be a problem. So we draft the shoulder slope. Because our shoulder is not straight, it's kind of sloping. So that's why we are doing this. So any measurements after this, if you depending on what the type of neckline you want, so you can draft. If you want your neck width to be more than 3, so you just come after this line. So from here to here, we measure the distance between where the shoulder slope ends and the chest line. So we measure the midpoint. This is 8 and the midpoint will be 4. Then on the chest line, we measure our bust circumference. So my bust circumference is 44, and 44 divided by 4, that's 11, plus 1 inch sewing allowance. So after getting the midpoint of the armhole line, so we come in by 3/4 of an inch. So from the front armhole, so this 3/4 of an inch will be somewhere around here. So we join this mark just to form the front armhole. So we can now mark our bust span. Like I said, the bust span is the distance between two nipples, and mine is 8. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then we mark the 4 on the bust point, on the under bust, and on the waistline. So normally you can add 0.5 inch for sewing allowance, but I won't do that. I can do that whenever I'm transferring to my fabric. So join the points together. So join the point together. So we mark 1 inch up from the bust point. Let me just label this so you don't get confused. This is the bust point. So we mark 1 inch up, 1 inch down. So for you to mark 1 inch up and down, it depends on your bust measurements. If the bust measurements you are making use of is from 36 below, you can just mark 1 inch up and 1 inch down. Well, if it's 38 inches upward, you mark 1/4 inch up, and the same thing for the down part as well. So because my bust is 44, it's above 36, so I'll be marking 1 1/4 up. So 1 inch and a quarter up, and then 1 1/4 down. So we try to get the midpoint of the armhole, which is 4, which is exactly here. So we draw the midpoint up to the point where we marked 1 1/4 up, then we join it together. So on the like I said earlier, there are different ways in which Princess Dance bustier can be drafted, and one of these ways is that on this dart leg, some people can usually distribute the dart intake on both sides, and you can either do that on the one side as well. So it depends on the style you are using. So for me, I'm going to do that on one side. So this is the dart leg. And under the for the under bust, this is the under bust. Let me label it so you don't get confused. So on the under bust, I will mark 2.5 inches on the under bust. I'm doing that on one side. If I'm doing it on either side, is So we divide the 2.5 inches by 2, then we distribute it on either side. Well, because I'm doing it on one side, I'll mark 2.5 inches on the under bust. Then on the waistline, I'll mark 2 inches. So if I'm distributing it on either side, it will be 1 inch on each side, but I'm doing both inches on just on one side. So I'll mark 2 inches on the waistline. Then I'll connect the point marked. To the lower, we came down by 1¼ inch, so I'll join these points to the lower part. So you can see that it doesn't really make sense yet until we join those parts together. So I will use my curved ruler to join these points together. So I've used my curved ruler to join those points together so it can form something like a cup. You can see that it's coming out nice. Then here, this is very sharp as well, so we can't leave it as it is, so we'll have to make it form like a cup as well. So that's it. So we'll have to ignore this side whenever we are cutting, so we just cut through the curved side. Ignore this as well. So we can now insert our round measurements. So on the bust, on the waistline, the waist I'll be using is just 40, and 40 divided by 4 is 10. So 40 divided by 4 is 10. Remember, we came in by 2 inches here for the dart intake. So we are going to add the 2 inches to the 10 inches for the waist. So 2 inches for the dart intake, that makes it 12, and 1 inch for seam allowance, that's 13. So we just have to add the 2 inches, if not it won't come out nice. Then we can now join the line from the bust line to the waistline. So there's a difference between the front waistline and the back waist. Like I said, my front from shoulder to waistline is 19, and for the back is 17, and we have a difference of 2 inches. So in order to bring this the front and the back length to be at the same point, we are going to create a bust dart. So the 2 inches, we mark the 2 inches on the line where we marked. So we just had come down by 2 inches, just down from the bust line. Then we connect it to the bust point here. So that makes it the bust dart. So that's the bust dart. Then we are going to cut this out. So the difference between the front and the back waist is it depends on how busty you are. Of course, if you are busty, the difference will be more than someone who is not that busty. So we are done with the drafting. Then the neckline, you can make use of the neckline of your choice. So I'll be making use of 4 inches here, 4 inches, then 3 inches down. And I can now join both points together. I can make it a V shape or round neck, or depends on what you want. Then when you are transferring on the fabric, just add like 0.5 inch for sewing allowance. You can now cut. Just cut on the points that have been marked. So like I said, whenever you are transferring to a fabric, just add your sewing allowance to it. And you can add it now. It's up to you. So far there is a sewing allowance. Doesn't really matter when you add it. Then we'll have to cut that here. You don't have to cut on the sharp edges, but the round one. So we've cut out the bust and that, and we've arranged it. So this is the front part of the bustier, this is the middle one, and this is the side one. So now let's cut the back part. So now I'll be showing us how to cut the back part of the bustier, and also how to avoid a bulge at the zipper area. So firstly, we're going to draft we're going to roll a line across just to start at the starting point. Then of course the back will have a zipper, so we can just do 1 inch or 1.5 inch zipper. So let's do 1.5 inch. So we'll roll the 1.5 inch from up down. It's just to maintain a straight line, just to so we can get a straight line. So that's our zipper part. Then we'll do the shoulder measurement. Mine is 16 divided by 2, that's 8. Then the chest line, which is armhole divided by 2, that's 9. It's just like the front part was just a slight difference. So 9, which is the armhole line. The vertical line is the armhole line, while the horizontal line is the chest line. That's the chest line. So we'll do from shoulder to the waist. Like I said earlier, that the front length is quite different from the back length. My back length is 17. So for the back part, we will not be needing the bust points. So that's the waistline. Then the bust span, which is the distance between two nipples, which is 4. Then we can now rule a line from the chest line down to the waistline. Then we can distribute our dart intake on both lines. So we just do 0.5 each of both lines. Then that leg will run from down here up to the chest line. So that's for the back. Then my bust measurement is 44 divided by 4, that's 11, plus 1 inch seam allowance, that's 12. Then we come down by 1 inch from where the shoulder measurement ends. Then we do the 3 by 3 standard measurements, then create the shoulder slope. It's just the same as the front part, just a slight difference, like I said. Then we take the distance between where the shoulder slope ends down to the arm, to the chest line, which is 8. Then the middle point, which is 4. You know, remember we came in by 3/4 of an inch while we were drafting the front part, but for the back part, we just come in by ½ inch. It should be somewhere here. So we join this point, this and this, just to create the front armhole, the back armhole. So on the waistline, my waist is 40 divided by 4, that's 10. Then we have to replace this dart intake, which is 1, that's 11, and sewing allowance 1 inches, that's 12. Then we now connect this point and this point. So in order to avoid a bulge at the zipper, this is the zipper part, in order to avoid a bulge here, so we come in by 1 inch on the waistline. So in order to avoid the bulge at the zipper area, so on the waistline, we come in by 1 inch. Which is this. Then we draw a line from here to here, which is to the chest line. Then we can now mark our zipper allowance, which is 1 inch. Then we can now join the points. So these are new zipper allowance. So with this method, there won't be a bulge at the zipper part. Then the neckline, for the front part we did a 4 by 4, and but this for the back part the 4 still remains here, while the width will be, I mean the depth, I just need a 1 inch. Then we can now join it. So remember we came in by 1 inch here, so we've got to add the 1 inch back, if not there will be a shortage. So we had the 1 inch back on the waistline. So we cannot join it. That's our new length. So that's it. So we have to eliminate this. If we are cutting at all, we cut on this new line. And that's for the back part. Then we can now cut. So before we cut, remember we added 0.5 inch on the lower part. Since I've started cutting already, so we can do that on the fabric. So it doesn't really matter so far we had the allowance. Cut along the line. Then we did 0.5 inch here for just for the allowance. 0.5 inch. And I'll cut here. So that's it. So this is the back pattern. And then the front one. So you realize that both the back and the front are of the same length. So they are actually of the same length. So the only difference is the 0.5 we added for the front part that we didn't add at the back part. So if we had added the 0.5 inches so in allowance at the back part, would have been the same. So it's almost the same. You can add that when you are transferring that to the fabric. So that's it. So I'll transfer it to the fabric and I will let you know how it comes out. So guys, this is the outcome of our design. So you can either add a peplum to it, or you can just create any style of your choice with it. So if you like this video, kindly give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Thank you. See you soon. Bye.